In this video, I want to introduce you to Traverse PC's drawing settings. In some of the other videos, we went ahead and took a look at Traverse drawing settings, and I double-clicked a line or a label, and I have all these settings for control points, side shots, lot labels, that sort of thing. The drawing settings are a little bit different. We find those in the Tools, Drawing Settings, or we can just right-click anywhere and choose Drawing Settings. The drawing settings are sort of global settings for the drawing, and they do change the way some of those Traverse drawing setting objects are drawn. We'll take a look at that with some bearings and such. And I just want to give you a quick overview of why I would come here and what I would do with this. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit more on part of this drawing. I want this to be a little bit bigger for you to see. I think I'll just pick, here we go, that'll work. And let me go ahead and stack these here, or align these here. I'm just going to change the way Traverse PC draws these. Okay, I want those together. So I'm going to right-click, go to Drawing Settings, and I'm just going to take a look at these miscellaneous settings here for a moment. So in the miscellaneous Traverse settings, I control things like extra spaces in the bearings. So do you see how this bearing here for the curve is a north space 90? That's controlled here with this extra spaces between the quadrant and the value. Let's turn this off and apply. Do you see what Traverse PC did, how it pulled those together? Let's choose another option. This says extra spacing throughout and apply it. So I not only have spacing between the quadrant and the bearing, but between each value in the bearing. And it did that in the curve. It did that on the line label here. So any place I see a bearing, I'm going to see it change like that. Now these are changes on Traverse lines, but I've got some bearings we just drew down here manually, and it did the same thing. So let's just take a look at these. Let's go to Drawing Settings, pull this off to the side. Let's do the same thing here. Turn off this extra spaces and apply. Traverse PC, tighten these up. This is kind of a handwriting font, so it's a little more difficult to see. But I'm going to do the spacing throughout and apply, and I've got extra spacing throughout. You might want to say, I want to put periods after the quadrant and apply that. So now I have a period after those quadrants. I want to, these are some extra zero kind of things for zero bearings. So I'm not going to show those here, but do you see the periods here in these bearings? Periods here in these bearings up here. So drawing settings are global. Let's take a look at my label offset. So I'm going to increase the label offset to 5/100 of an inch and apply. And you see how this label is separated from the line more? How this curve information is separated more? Let's go up to 7 and apply separated more. Let's go back down to the default of 2 and apply that. And now they're kind of nestled back against the line. Notice how I've got a distance followed by a bearing here. That's controlled by the word spacing, so I'm going to go from 1 to 4. Now I've got more spacing in here than I used to have. So the drawing settings say I want to change how things are created or how they look in the drawing here, and this is where I do that. Right now, let's take a look at distance units. I've got distance units turned on, so that's going to create this little apostrophe here. Okay, and it's using the default unit back in the program settings. But what if I want to override it here? And I want to put in a lowercase feet here. I can do that. And every place I've got a distance in, see the radius and arc length up here, have that feet. I can modify that right here. So pretty nice options here. And we'll spend some time in the other videos looking at what these different tabs do and how they affect the drawing as well. In some of the other videos, we took a look at drawing templates, And I want to let you know that these drawing settings are stored with the template. So if I select the label offset that I want and store that as a template, or modify an existing template to use that label offset, any new drawing that I create with that template will use that label offset. Pretty neat. Also, when I duplicate drawings, we looked at that in some of the videos. If I have this set to 4/100 of an inch for a label offset, and I duplicate this drawing, the new drawing that gets created will have that same label offset. So Traverse PC handles these drawing settings really nicely in templates and duplicate drawings.